Hi, my name is Payton Matthews, and today I will be discussing our final case study called Eliminating the Gender Pay Gap. Gap Inc. leads the way. I will be talking about Gap and how they will continue to improve its pay equity process and further strive to improve diversity and inclusion efforts. Gap is an American worldwide retail store founded in 1969 by Donald and Doris Fisher. It has grown into a global brand with e-commerce sites, 3,200 company-operated stores, and about 450 franchise stores in more than 90 countries worldwide. In 2014, Gap made history by becoming the first Fortune 500 company to announce that it pays females and male employees equally for equal work on average across all its locations. Gap has always fostered a culturally diverse community and has valued it. There is not nearly enough regulation in the workplace when it comes to the divide between men and women, as well as the equal treatment and payment of women. Gap does a significant job at fostering a diverse and inclusive community. But how can they continue to improve this? How can they continue to provide this diverse and inclusive community? Gender inequality in the workplace is an issue that has been on the forefront of the news and on activists' minds for years. The argument is that women are not getting the proper treatment, not only in the office, but they are also being discriminated when it comes to making the actual hiring decision. I believe that there is a direct correlation with men's perception of women and their ability in the workplace, as well as the percentage of women that are hired. There is not nearly enough regulation in the office when it comes to the divide of men and women, as well as the equal treatment and payment of these women. I would like to break the idea of stereotypes for women and men and their roles as it pertains to the professional careers and their places in the office. So the question I would like to answer is that Gap can continue to improve its pay equity process and further strive to improve diversity and inclusion. And I'm here to tell you why. It was on June 15th, 2016, in Washington, D.C., where thousands of men and women gathered around for the first United States of Women Summit. This summit focused on the issue of gender inequality in the United States, involving leadership, educational opportunities, and equal pay for women. Gap was one of the 28 different companies that signed the Equal Pay Pledge, which allowed annual pay analysis and a lower national gender wage gap. Gap uses two methods. It was on June 15th, 2016, in Washington, D.C., where thousands of men and women gathered around for the first United States of Women Summit. This summit focused on the issue of gender inequality in the United States, involving leadership, educational opportunities, and equal pay for women. Gap was one of the 28 different companies that signed the Equal Pay Pledge, which allowed annual pay analysis and a lower national gender wage gap. Gap uses two methods of payment. One method is the organization pay gap analysis, which is a ratio of pay for full-time males versus female employees, not controlling for any variable or levels in the organization. The second method they use is the like-for-like analysis. This idea is when a ratio of pay for all male and female employees controlling for the work of equal value and other measurable factors is used. Gap is always trying to treat others with the utmost complete respect that they thrive on creating a diverse community. They are one of the first companies ever to be known as such a diverse and inclusive community. In our extremely progressive world, there are actually far more women that continue to work while the husband or significant other takes the role of raising the child. Another fact that would disprove this stereotype is that the age of women having their first child is significantly later than it was 100 years ago. This all being said shows the idea that women are not fit for the workplace due to taking care of their children, which is not only wrong but also rude and outdated. Another stereotype that I would like to address is that women in the house is viewed as positivity, but the woman in power is often seen as the enemy or villain, which you will see in my essay how I provided a certain scenario. There's absolutely no correlation to men being better leaders or companies or of branches, but it is very rare to see a woman in a position of power such as these. One of the reasons of this is that many men do not like the idea of a woman having more power than them in the corporation, as well as they view themselves as not capable in a position of control and power. This is an absurd idea that basically puts a negative focus on women being successful in the workplace and takes away so much credibility from all of the amazing, talented, and smart women in the world. And Gap noticed this problem and has made a significant difference in the world. Gender inequality in the workplace is an issue that has been on the forefront of the news and on activists' mind for years. The argument is that women are not getting the proper treatment not only in the office, but are being discriminated in the workplace. Where the issue of discrimination also comes into effect is the rate of men that quit or retire that are replaced by women. However, at Gap, there are 75% of women working there. The idea that there are jobs for men and women and that they should be separated is one of the most ridiculous ideas in the workforce that there is. Not even gender-based, but also race, ethnicity, and beliefs are all causing this divide. In the case, it's stated that at the current pay gap, women will not see equal pay in the U.S. until 2059. For women of color, the rate is slower, with Black women having to wait until 2124 and Hispanic women having to wait until 2248 for equal pay. One prime example of gender bias roles in the workforce was from the article. A team from Stanford recently analyzed the language of hundreds of performance reviews from technology and professional service firms and found that managers are significantly more likely to critique female employees for coming on too strong. Also, women's accomplishments are more likely to be seen as the result of team efforts rather than individual efforts. There has been a high number of men applying for women's jobs, and there's always been many women applying for women's jobs. As long as this stays an idea in the minds of the employers and public, there will always be a gender divide and wage discrimination. The world that we live in today is starting to take notice of the microaggression statement or actions that we see today and make people aware of the unfair treatment that women receive on a daily basis. The issue at hand is that women have continued to earn less than men, even though women do make up nearly half of the workforce in the United States. After becoming so knowledgeable on the company Gap and seeing how amazing it is, how diverse and inclusive their company is truly amazing. However, there are some aspects that can be changed for Gap to be more successful and viewed as a leader in the business industry. Gap has offered their employees with a multitude of great opportunities and benefits as they understand where motherhood takes place and how people might have other opportunities that they have to do in their life. However, they made it appointed that their job and their work has to be done when it is due. Gap's available family-friendly policies vary depending on their location, which I thought was an issue. An example of this would be the Gap companies in the UK is one of the few retail organizations offering to match enhanced maternity pay to both parents under the local share parenting leave policy. When Gap companies in Japan offer flexible working options and summer hours, including half-day Fridays during the summer that give employees more autonomy. This is a prime example of where culturally diverse divides into play. In my eyes, I think that this is very unfair, how they are having different rules for the same exact company because of its location. If they're going to make rules for a company, then those rules should apply the same at every company's location. Maternity leave causes much controversy, especially over the past years. However, although Gap allows you this, there should be a change in the system where employees will not get penalized for having something so magical as a child. What I mean by this is that they should not receive a promotion or get lower ratings because they have been out of work for a couple of weeks. Before they left, they were doing an amazing job and are being penalized for having a child. This is unfair and not right. The last aspect that I would change would be their compensation system. Gap should allow its employees and others to see exactly what they are getting paid for. By doing this, it's creating more of an inclusive and trustworthy environment for their employees, which Gap has always tended to do.